had always had the Nordkapp on our bucket list. You know, the dramatic cliff at the very top of mainland Europe, where the world just ends. And last September we finally found the time to make it happen. We took 2 weeks off and planned a road trip through Finnish, Swedish and Norwegian Lapland. Now, for those who don't know, Lapland is massive. We are talking about a region that stretches across the northern parts of 4 countries: Finland, Sweden, Norway and the silver of Russia. It covers roughly 390,000 square kilometers, making it larger than Germany. The indigenous Sami people have called this land home for over 10,000 years, and their culture is still very much alive up here. From reindeer herding traditions to the joik, their traditional form of song. And here is the thing most people don't realize. Autumn in Lapland is spectacular. The Finns even have a word for it, Ruska. It literally means the explosion of fall colors across the Arctic landscape. We are talking about birch forests turning electric gold, blueberry bushes going deep crimson, and the tundra looking like someone spilled a painter palette across the entire horizon. On the top of that, the northern lights are already visible in late September. The skies are dark enough, but the lake are not frozen yet, so you get these insane reflections. And the best part, barely any tourists. The summer rush is over. The winter crowd has not arrived yet. It's basically Lapland's best kept secret. We landed in Oulu, which is the largest city in Finnish Lapland, about 200,000 people sitting right on the Gulf of Bothnia. We picked up our rental car, checked into the hotel and found a local restaurant for dinner. Nothing fancy, just a solid Finnish comfort food after a long travel day. The next morning, right after the breakfast, we hit the road. And honestly, we didn't even make it very far before we had to stop. There was this lake, maybe 20 minutes out of the city, slightly overcast, mist hovering over the water. I had to send the drone up. The narrow road cutting through the lake looked almost like a painting. About half an hour further north, heading toward Koiteli, I launched the drone again, this time over the forest. And this is where it really hits you. Finland is roughly 75% forest. That makes it the most forested country in Europe. Up here it's mostly Scots pine, Norway spruce and birch. From 100 meters up you just see trees stretching to the horizon in every single direction. No buildings and no signs of people, just an ocean of green and gold fading into the distance. Finland has around 23 billion trees, which works out to roughly 4,100 trees per person. Put that in perspective, that is one of the highest tree to person ratio anywhere on the planet. The forest industry makes up 25% of Finland's export revenue. It's deeply woven into the country's economy and identity. We arrived in Koiteli and the whole place was wrapped in fog. Koiteli is a popular outdoor recreation area just known for its rapids on the Kiminkioki River. There is a beautiful wooden footbridge crossing the river, and in autumn, with the mist and the golden birches, it felt like stepping into a Nordic fairy tale. The area has been used for centuries by locals for fishing. The rapids are particularly famous for their trout and grayling. From there, we drove to the Hiastinhara Nature Trail. It is this long boardwalk-style path running alongside the river, winding through old-growth forest. Barely saw another soul. just the sound of the water and birds. Exactly the kind of place that reminds you why you travel. On the road to Tornio, we had our first reindeer encounter, just casually standing on the road, completely unbothered, and this would become a recurring theme on this trip. There are roughly 200,000 semi-domesticated reindeer in Finnish Lapland alone, actually outnumbering the human population in most municipalities up there. They are managed by Sami and Finnish herders using a system that goes back centuries. Fun fact: reindeer are the only deer species where both males and females grow antlers, and their eyes actually change color with the seasons. Golden in summer, blue in the winter to adapt to the extreme shift in daylight. We arrived in Tornio late that night. It is a border town sitting right where Finland meets Sweden, connected to the Swedish city of Haparanda by a bridge. We crashed immediately. Our hotel was right by the river. Long day, amazing start. After breakfast, our first stop was Matkokoski, a stretch of rapids known for its salmon fishing, but what blew us away was not the water, it was the mushrooms. The entire forest floor was carpeted in them, different shapes, different colors, just everywhere you looked. And this tracks because Finland is an absolute mushroom paradise. There are roughly 200 edible species found across the country, and Finnish law actually gives everyone the right to forage wild mushrooms and berries in any forest. It is part of what they call the everyman's right. The most popular finds up here are chanterelles, porcini and various bullets. Finns picks an estimated 2 to 4 million kilos of wild mushrooms every year, and that is still though to be less than 2% of what actually grows. After the mushroom trail, we made a quick stop to Kattilokoski camping near Tornio. We had heard good things about this spot and wanted to check it out for a potential summer trip. Grabbed a bite, took a quick look around and kept moving. Then came the Arctic Circle. We pulled up to the Arctic Circle Cafe, which, as the name suggests, sits right on the 66° and 34 minutes north latitude line. It is one of those spots that feels almost surreal. You are literally standing on an invisible geographical boundary where at least once a year the sun doesn't set in summer and doesn't rise in winter. We grabbed a drink, soaked in the moment and continued to north. And from here on, the reindeer were everywhere. We came across an entire herd just grazing by the road, maybe 30 or 40 animals completely relaxed. Then more in the nearby forest. And then we spotted something rare, an albino reindeer, completely white, standing out like a ghost against the autumn colors. Albino reindeers are incredibly uncommon. Estimates suggest only about 1 in every few thousand is born with the condition. In Sami culture, white reindeer have traditionally been considered sacred and were often spared during slaughter. Seeing one in the wild felt genuinely special. I got one more drone flight in near a lake just before sunset. That golden hour lights hitting the water and the birch trees, absolutely magic. We made it to Torkensalmi Lake way too late to sing anything, just darkness and silence. But that is a part of the adventure. You don't always get the golden hour ending. Day 3 started rough. Heavy clouds, rain, The kind of weather that makes you question every life choice that led to a road trip in the subarctic. I filmed from inside the car for a while, the raindrops on the windshield, the moody landscapes passing by. Sometimes the most cinematic footage comes from the worst weather. And then, like someone flipped a switch, the sky broke open. Suddenly, everything was bathed in this dramatic, low-angle Arctic light. We stopped near a river where we filmed for a while, and again, reindeer casually hanging around. We crossed the border into Norway, and the landscape shifted dramatically. Finland is flat, forested, gentle. Norway hit us with raw, rugged terrain almost immediately. Bare rock faces, windswept tundra, and a feeling of remoteness that was on another level. Our big stop was Pikafossen, a waterfall, just off the main road. And it's not the most famous waterfall in Norway, and honestly, that is part of its charm. No parking lots full of tour buses, just us and this powerful cascade of waterfalls surrounded by autumn colors. Norway has over 300 named waterfalls, more than almost any other European country, thanks to its glacially carved valleys and extreme elevation changes over short distances. The drive toward the Otta was stunning. The road curved always with massive mountains walls, and the other side, the weather constantly shifting. Sun, clouds, rain, all within minutes. Oulu is a harbor town in Finnmark, the northernmost country in Norway. It is famous for the Altar rock carvings, a UNESCO World Heritage Site with over 6,000 petroglyphs dating back 7,000 years. We arrived late again and didn't explore much that evening, but the drive getting there was worth the whole day. This was the day, the Nordkapp day. Just outside Alta, I sent the drone up from the car to make some shots. Short after that, the fjord appeared. Massive walls of rocks rising out of the deep blue water, peaks already dusted with the snow. If yesterday's Norway was rugged, today's Norway was cinematic, on a scale I wasn't ready for. Norway's fjords were carved during the last ice age by glaciers that slowly ground down valleys over millions of years, creating these narrow, steep inlets that can reach depths of over 1,300 meters. The Finnmark coastline up here is less visited than the famous fjords further south, but it is arguably just as dramatic. We kept running into reindeer on the road and also spotted something beautiful, rainbows. Not just one, several, appearing and disappearing as the rain and the sun kept taking turns. At one point there was a rainbow arcing directly over a small church in the middle of absolutely nowhere. That is the kind of shot you cannot plan. We passed through small fishing villages perched on the water's edge, saw a salmon farm in operation, and then things started getting properly dramatic. By the way, Norway is the world's largest producer of farming Atlantic salmon, producing over 1.5 million tons annually. So, right before the Nordkapp tunnel, there was a waterfall cascading right next to the road. The Nordkapp tunnel itself is an engineering feat, almost 7 kilometers long, descending to over 200 meters below sea level, making it one of the deepest undersea tunnels in the world. On the other side, the landscape turned sparse and severe. Small villages clinging to the coastline, weather whipping from the Barents Sea. And then we arrived. The Nordkapp, the northernmost point of mainland Europe accessible by road. A cliff face rising 307 meters straight off of the Arctic Ocean. The weather was wild, changing every 5 minutes between fog, wind, rain, and a sudden burst of sunlight. But that is a part of the experience. There is a museum, a visitor center at the top, and the famous globe sculpture, the iconic symbol of the Nordkapp. Standing there, looking out over the edge of the continent, knowing that the next stop north is Svalbard, and then the North Pole, it is one of those places that makes you feel small. Fun fact, the Nordkapp has been a tourist attraction since 1664, when the Italian priest Francesco Negri became the first documented tourist to visit. King Oscar II of Sweden visited in 1873, which kicked off the era of organized tourism. Today, roughly 200,000 people visit each year, most of them in summer. In September, almost nobody. On the drive back, we caught one last waterfall and a full rainbow ring, a 360-degree halo around the sun. The perfect punctuation mark for an unforgettable day. We checked into our hotel at Briggen, exhausted and buzzing. 1,000 kilometers in only 4 days. Countless stops. Because honestly, you cannot drive through this landscape and not pull over every 15 minutes. For us, autumn is hands down the best season for Lapland. The colors are insane. The reindeers are everywhere. The northern lights show up. And you have the entire place basically to yourself. No fighting for parking at scenic lookouts. No tour groups blocking your shot. Just you, the road, and some of the wildest nature Europe has to offer. But this is only part 1. In the next video we are heading to Hammerfest, the world's northernmost city, and then driving back into Finland, where things get, let's just say, interesting. Now I'm curious, have any of you been to Lapland? And if so, which part? Finnish? Norwegian? Drop in the comments. I want to know. Did you go in winter, or were you smart enough to go in autumn? If you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button. We have got the full continuation of this trip coming very soon. Until then, see you on the road. Peace.